All right, hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel, Step Electrons. So in this video, we are going to start with this part, management, the engineering management part. Now, there's an example here. Please. I know I've not explained what management is, engineering management, the story behind it, and now we're looking at an example. Really? Yes. Now, the thing is this, the whole idea of this engineering part, or let me say a summary of it, is you are an engineer and you want to function as a manager who is an engineer managing engineering projects. Okay, so here is an example. This is a project now. As an engineering manager, you have been given this project to what? Manage with the following assumptions. Now, how do we go about this? Come on. Now, at this point, I can go back, then we talk about what management is, then the engineering manager, the steps to manage, how we can go about the whole managing thing and things like that. Okay, and then we'll come back to this example and then finish it. All right, now in case we are able to finish that in this same video, fine. If not, fine. But let's go back now. Introduction to management. The management here just simply mean what? What do you think? It characterizes the process of leading and directing all what? Part of an organization through what? Deployment and manipulation of what? Resources. You are what? You are leading. Okay? Or the idea of management is what? Leading and what? Directing. Note, this is management in general, not just engineering management. Okay, leading and directing. Okay? Now, the areas of management include what? Engineering management. Aha. So, the area of management include what? Engineering management, enterprise management, cost management, crisis management, communication management, customer relationship management. There are a lot of them. But these guys are our focus. Okay? Engineering management is our focus. Now, when you talk about management, okay, there are principles to it. That's what we have here next. There are principles to it. And one man that's known for this is who? Henry Fayol. Pardon me if I'm not pronouncing this thing correctly. And he said that managerial excellence is what? A technical ability and can be what? Acquired. You can actually acquire this managerial excellence. It's a technical ability and it can be acquired. But there's something about it, okay? It is the most neglected what? Aspect of business. It's a part of business, but it's kind of neglected, and that's why this guy is sad. Okay, but okay, I hope we get that. Now, Henry Fayol is who? A universalist, and that's because of this idea. He was recognized as a what? Universalist, and he has what? 14 principles of management. Man, 14 principles. We've not even talked about engineering management now. We are talking about management as a whole. This guy has 14 principles. And I kind of linked them somehow while writing them out. So they will look, easy to recall and things like that. So starting with division of labor. If you are going to manage something, you can't do it alone, bro. You can't. You need people. Okay, in fact. Okay, let's just continue. So division of labor. But when you divide labor, you still need to be united. So division of labor, that's one. And another one is what? Unity of command. Yes, the labor is divided, but the command is what? You have common command. Okay, unity of command. Not just command, though. Unity of what? Direction. And you are doing that in what? In the spirit of cooperation. Esprit de corps. This name is too. So we get how I link this whole stuff, right? So division of labor, unity of command, unity of direction, spirit of what? Cooperation. And then this whole thing should be what? Orderly. So order is also part of it. Okay? Order is also what? Part of it. Now, we just have 5 there, right? So I grouped the next 5, saying that authority and what? Responsibility. In a way, if you think of it this, okay, let me just continue. So these 5, authority and what? Responsibility. And when you think of things like authority and responsibility, discipline comes to mind. Are we together? Discipline comes to mind. And when you talk of discipline, subordination of individual interests to general what? Interests. Meaning an individual in the management in the body should what? Subordinate his own personal interest to the general what? Interest. Consider the general interest over your personal what? Interest. That's you have to be disciplined to do that. Okay? Now, from this subordinating, the next thing I wrote out is what? Scalar chain of what? Hierarchy. Scalar chain of hierarchy. We have levels. Just understand that everybody will not function at the same level. So there's hierarchy, okay? There's hierarchy. Then stability of tenor stability of tenor of who? Personnel. That means someone who can be in an office, can be leading for a given period of time, and another person will take over after a given period of time, things like that. So stability of what? Tenor of who? Personnel. So we've done 5 and 5. 5, 5, that's 10. So remaining 4. Now centralization, equity, initiative, and what? Remuneration. Okay, centralization, equity, of course, equity, you have to be fair now. Okay, fairness, then initiative, and then what? Remuneration. So this is the last 4. So these are his 14 principles of what? 14 principles of management. Okay, managerial excellence. Now understand that what I'm trying to do now is just an overview, okay, so that we get to the example and complete it. Of course, you can do more studies on the whole stuff, okay? If I decide to go through the whole thing, bro, this will be too long and I may not meet up before the test. But okay, so I hope we are clear with that. You can take back the video and go through them one by one, at least to recall them. I put them in groups so that it's easy to recall some of them. Okay, now since these are the principles of management, what are the functions? What are the what? Functions. We've seen introduction to what management is, and we've seen the principles of management. How about the functions? Functions of what? Management. Now, there are 5. 5 what? Functions. Am I missing anything? Am I missing anything? Okay, see. Okay, in this slide. So there are 5 what? Functions. You can see controlling is there. Let me start from the first one. Planning. What? Planning. You have to plan. If you want to manage something, you have it's not things, you don't leave things to chance. You have to plan. Okay? And when you say planning, it's a fundamental step in management, rooted in what? Creation of future course of action to achieve predetermined goals. Now, the second, so I'll come back to that, okay? The second one is what? Organizing. When you plan, you have to organize. And it's the secondary management function, which involves what? Assignment of tasks. Of course, in our notes, it's more elaborate. You have more write-ups. This is just a summary, okay? So you have to organize. And then staffing, that means it involves what? Manning and organizing structure. Manning means people, assigning people to do different things. So it involves what? Manpower, planning, recruitment, selection, development, like putting people to work. Okay, that's just the idea. Then directing, this is the function that activates organizational method to achieve goals by what? Influencing, guiding, supervising, and what? Motivating subordinates. You have made the planning, you have organized it, okay, assigning of tasks, this and this should be done. Now you have what? Set people in place to do it. You have even trained them. I think training is part of it. Development, yeah, it's part of it. Okay, remuneration, payments, appraisal, everything is set. Now you direct them. Okay, this is this function. So this is the function that activates the organizational what? Methods to achieve the goal by influencing your staff, guiding your staff, supervising your staff, and motivating your staff, subordinates. Okay. Now, when that is done, the next is what? Controlling. So this function has to do with what? Measurement of accomplishments against the standards and correction of deviation, if any, to ensure achievement of organizational goals. That means since you now have staff, okay, and they are working, giving them directives, controlling means you will see your results and then you now measure it if it's what you want, if it matches the goal. So it has to do with what? Measurement of accomplishment. What you have accomplished so far, you will check it. If it's what you want, measure it, check it against the standard. Now, and you also do what? You make correction of any deviation from your main plan, if there's any deviation, to ensure what? Achievement of organizational what? Goals. All these are from what? Who? All these, all from. Oh boy, what's it for? Okay, so all these are according to the same person, Henry Fayol. Okay. Now, the parts where I skipped, the planning part. The planning part involves what? Goal-oriented, pervasive, continuous activity, intellectual process, futuristic, and decision making. Pardon me, I'm not going deep to explain each of them. Okay, of course, more details are in the notes, but this is just an overview, summary, giving us the basic idea of it. Then we go into the example. I think I've said that before. For the organizational part, it has to do with what? Division of labor, coordinating, setting objective, authority, responsibility structure, and communication. Okay. Now, this part, I think the lecturer went deep into this part to talk about decision making, and we have it. Okay, we talk about decision making. That it involves what? Steps to determine the best option to address a problem. According to David H. Holt, he states that rational decision making is a process that involves what? The following 8 steps. For him, you have to diagnose the problem. Are we together? You want to make decision, Abi? You have to diagnose the problem. Like, what is the problem? Then you do what? Analyze the environment. Note that the environment is what? Internal and external. You have to analyze the environment. Then you articulate the problem. Fine, you diagnose it, you check the environment, internal and external. You have to what? Articulate the problem. And then do what? Develop viable alternative. After developing a viable alternative, you will now check your alternative, the one you have developed. Evaluate that what? Viable alternative. After doing that, then you now do what? Make a choice of alternative. And then you do what? Implement the decision. After implementing, you now evaluate. It's not do it correct, so evaluate the decision and then do what? Adapt the decision results. Okay, those are the parts I skipped. In class, I think the lecturer went deeper into each one. Like there's notes for each one. Okay, which I am not going into now, and I think I've said why I've said that before. Okay, now with that being said, since we have seen the function, we've seen what management is, the principles of management, the functions of management. Now we can talk about what? Engineering management. But we'll continue from here in the next video. Okay.